It's a Monday, which means it's the beginning of a new week here at SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. We will be going into added time this morning because 11 o'clock, we're going to be joined by Keidane McAlpine, the head coach of UGA. They came home yesterday from a trip into the B1G. It was a 1-1 draw. We'll have a highlight from that match. Considering it was behind a paywall, it'll be the Minnesota highlight and not the Georgia highlight. But as a part of what we're going to do this morning, it is a standard reaction Monday. Whatever is on your mind when it comes to Atlanta United Red Bulls, we'll go over all the news, all the numbers. Abe Gordon set to join us in about 9 minutes, as he always does. And we'll have your highlights, both from Apple TV and from 92.9 The Game, because Jess Charman, one of our OGs, got to call the match with Ian Joy, and you will know Ian. You will know Ian's pipes from whence it came. So you'll hear Jess's version, kind of like Maddie's version. You'll hear Jess's version, and you will hear the 92.9 version from the 2-1 win against Red Bulls. Like I said, we'll get into all the numbers. You're going to hear from Lucas Ojos. You're going to hear from Adrian Gill, and you're going to hear from Tristan Muyumba. And that will get us into hour number 2, which is going to be with Bart Keeler and the SoccerForUSPod, where we're going to get into what to expect from the Premier League, from the dudes with whistles and flags coming up starting this weekend. We do have a couple of Reds to get into, and there were 6 in Major League Soccer. 2 in one match in particular. Those 2 involved our friend Casey White and Christian Miles, and so we'll get into that. We'll also get into the Toronto match, as that is through Bart's request. So we have 2 matches to get into, 3 of the 6 Reds in Major League Soccer, plus what to expect from the folks in the middle come the Premier League. And we've even had the beginning of League One, League Two, and the Championship this past weekend. And so now the Premier League will have its own time. We did have Community Shield, and it wasn't even close. So we'll get into that. We might even talk to Bart about Community Shield and have him wear his Arsenal hat briefly and then take his Arsenal hat off and discuss what was seen for Manchester City in that particular matchup. Then we'll get you through the rest of the day. Like I said, we've got our college mashup, the Monday mashup when it comes to the college game, what happened yesterday. It'll be a combination of Georgia, Mercer and West Georgia, Kennesaw State and Stetson, Georgia Southern and Florida Gulf Coast. You'll hear the highlights from that as a part of the matchup. And you will hear the mashup, and you'll get that. And then once again, 11 o'clock, Keidane McAlpine is going to join us, and he's going to break down what happened in Minnesota, plus the season to date, and then get you ready for soccer at Sanford. That is on Thursday night. We will be there with the pregame show here on the network, 6 o'clock, and we will have Marion Crowder joining us tomorrow morning at 9:30. Early kick tomorrow because of the twos. Twos are going to be, and this is going to be where the week goes. So it's going to be an early kick tomorrow for us at SDH AM. I'm thinking 8:30 because we got to be off the air by 10:15 so I can race outside and get everything squared away with the pregame show. 10:30 pregame, 11 o'clock kick. Atlanta United 2, Chicago Fire 2 from the Children's Health Care of Atlanta Training Ground. So that's Tuesday for you. So probably an 8:30 kick. Marion Crowder joining us at 9:30 tomorrow to talk about all of her accelerated activities with the 4-letter network, including both soccer and so football and football. Then we'll see what we're doing. We've got to get into picks of the week. That's tomorrow morning once again as we wrap up the show. As the Clausura continues in the Discord, 10:15 off the air, race outside, plug things in, and get everything squared away for the pregame show on Tuesday with Atlanta United 2, Chicago Fire 2. That gets us into Wednesday. Thursday pregame show from Athens, 6 to about 6:55. Then it'll be Glenn Davis, Jill Lloyd, and Marion Crowder on the call on SEC Network. And it's an opportunity to pack the house and find out what's going on with Georgia and James Madison. We are efforting James Madison's head coach for the pregame show. Pregame show will be Coach McAlpine, Marion Crowder, and hopefully James Madison. That gets us through Thursday. And then Friday, once again, gets us ready for everything coming up. By the way, midweek Atlanta United is in Minneapolis to take on Minnesota United to get you set up for Sunday, which is Sporting Kansas City. So you've got all that going on this week. So what do we do to start the week off? we go and catch up with Abe Gordon, 929 The Game, the Odyssey app. So, sir, we get to discuss an Atlanta United 3 points this time. Now that you've had 36 hours to think about it, what sticks?
Yeah, it's been a while, and it felt pretty good, and kind of I think the method and the manner in which the game played itself out felt good as well. It was a game where you fall behind early, and it's just one of those immediate feelings of dread 6 minutes in. But the team really rallied, and one of the things that John, you and I have been talking about, me and Maddie on the pre and post game shows, how do you respond to the moments? Both good and bad, the responses. I thought you responded well to them scoring and going up 1-0. I thought you also responded well to yourself equalizing, and then obviously you responded well when you went up 1-0. 2-1. Took a 1-goal lead there in the later stages of the match. So, it was a really promising effort. I have been very excited from the moment they had signed Adrian Gill, and it's been a while since we finally got a chance to see him here. I know he's been activated and eligible to play at times with the first team, but hadn't making his way onto the pitch, and an ankle knock to Will Riley gives him the opportunity. And I mentioned this to Maddie pregame. You just don't know who takes those opportunities and runs with it. I think there was a time not that long ago where you're like, oh, they're forced to throw Cooper Sanchez into the roster because of an injury here, an injury there, a visa there, whatever it was. And lo and behold, Cooper Sanchez took that opportunity, and now you're just penciling him in into the starting 11 week by week. And you just don't know who's going to run with it. We've seen some guys run with it, and we've seen some guys kind of crumple at times as well. But that wasn't the case for Adrian Gill, and he was open about it in his postgame. You heard it. I heard it there with Jason Longshore. It took him a couple of minutes to kind of get into the flow of it, get into the speed of it, understand the physicality. He said 15 to 20. It felt a little bit more like 10, but I'm sure it took him a little while to feel comfortable as it compared to how you and I saw him looking comfortable there. But I thought that was an outstanding performance. And then obviously two guys have had some ups and down moments over the course of the season, play hero ball. Really three guys. But Tristan Moyamba, and you brought it up in postgame, when he's given time and he takes a little bit of patience before hitting the shot, he's very good from the outside. We've seen that now a couple of times this season. And then Fafa Pico, obviously a very well worked. And this is about the whole staff, right? This is about Tata Martino and drawing up plays. And there have been a lot of people, John, who have been asking why we keep doing short corners. Why do you keep doing short corners? That's why. That is why. Because it can maneuver a defense into opening up holes that were not there. That's what happened. You open up a hole at the back post, and Fafa Pico there as well. And I can't ignore the play of Lucas Hoyos either. He had two saves that are goals. Mm-hmm. I mean, just straight up, they are goals. And I'm not sure how, I didn't look in the moment to see how the Red Bulls, I forgot it was a midfielder or striker, how they reacted to the ball not going into those shots being saved. But those were goals. And again, it's obvious to say he's there to save goals, but not every save is graded equally. Huge saves, two specific ones from Lucas Hoyos to both keep the lead at 1-0 and then later prevent it from being equalized once you had taken a 2-1 lead. So just a really good performance. And again, it feels good to do it from down a goal versus up a goal, and then maybe you give back and you're playing that way out. You had control. You didn't have possession, but you had control the whole way.
And what we've mentioned about going up against a team like Red Bulls, and I mentioned this in the post-game show, it's the last 15 of the first half, last 15 of the second half, because that's when their fatigue sets in, both mental and physical, from all of the chasing that they've been doing and all the pressure they've been trying to create all match long. You get a goal with 20 to go, so it's a little outside the window. But then you get the one with 8 to go, which gives you the lead, and then you see it out, with what you were able to do defensively, substitutions and such. Adrian Gill's numbers, and I know that you and I got into a street fight trying to figure out who the player of the game was going to be, because as you mentioned with Tristan and Lucas Hoyos, those were two great ones, and Adrian Gill as well. 90 minutes for Adrian Gill, 41 of 43 passing, 26 of 26 in the first half, by the way, 15 of 17 in the second half, 55 touches, 3 passes into the final third. This is courtesy of our friends at FOTMob. 6 defensive contributions, 2 tackles, 3 clears, a pick, 5 recoveries, and he won every ground duel he had in front of him in that match. That's what you got from the Colorado kid, Adrian Gill.
Well, and now you've got some real tough decisions coming. There's a little bit of match compression, but again, so many of these guys are young. I'm just going to be honest. I don't really buy into that when it comes to Cooper Sanchez or Adrian Gill, or when he's healthy, Will Riley. Like you can miss me with the match compression on 17, 18, 21-year-old legs. So not interested in that conversation. So it really comes down to, does Adrian Gill get another chance on Wednesday, or is Will Riley back from his ankle? If he is back, what about, and you stick with Adrian Gill, what about when Jay Fortune recovers from his hamstring? And so there are these conversations that, again, we've had them before about positional compression and maybe who has positional flexibility, who can play further back defensively, who needs to be a little bit further up in getting more ingratiated into the attack. So some midfield questions certainly to be asked. But if you ask me, and I think the numbers you just read off there, Adrian Gill, in my opinion, it should be given another opportunity on Wednesday, whether Will Riley's good to go from that ankle or not. And if he continues to play this way, even when Jay Fortune returns, it's a conversation that you have to start having about what you're doing in the midfield, because you know you're keeping Cooper Sanchez in there. You know that Alexi's up top, and I don't see a reason after the past couple of games for Tristan Moyamba that he's going to be moving out. You've obviously got a 6 coming in at some point, a Mauricio Amaro, which is going to just further muddy the conversation in the midfield. Again, there are worse conversations to be having about we don't know which young star midfielder we want to put in the lineup today. But I'd like to just to further the point, I'd like to see Gill given another opportunity on Wednesday. And if he plays like he did Saturday on Wednesday, you have to have some real hard conversations about guys coming back and when the next opportunity is. And if Jay Fortune, don't lose your job due to injury. I don't buy into that, man. Like if you're injured and someone looks good, like stick with them. That's how Tom Brady's career started. You don't just throw Bledsoe back in there because he was injured and that's why Brady was forced into action. No, if the guy takes it, runs with it, you have to be open to that. So it's some real interesting decisions and conversations to be had if Adrian Gill's given a chance and if he looks like he did in his debut.
Yeah, and obviously this is where the physios come up with and earn their keep, considering you're coming off of that match. And then, yesterday's a recovery day. Today, you kind of start getting your walkthroughs and your early morning practices. And then Tuesday, you get everything squared away probably early morning before you fly out to head up north to get everything ready in the midweek. And with Adrian Gill, we have to remind folks, it's a first-team contract. We don't have to worry about STAs and these short-term agreements that drive you and me both crazy. We don't have to worry about that with an Adrian Gill. So you don't have to worry about pogos up and down and going back and forth, second team, first team. That's one of these pieces of this jigsaw puzzle that you're glad to have and not have to worry about, okay, how many times have I called so-and-so up? How many games have I burned with him so far? You don't have to have that conversation with Adrian Gill, but it also introduces, to your point, if Will Riley is healthy, then Adrian may not necessarily have to go the full 90 if he gets the start in Minneapolis, because then you can bring in Will to shut the door coming in and give me 30 just so we can see how things are with the legs. And with Jay, when he comes back in, we've seen Jay play on the left wing last season. So you get into the positional flexibility, which is what you're also been seeing from Tata Martino in the past with the players he plugs in.
Yeah, a couple of other things to note. Obviously, it feels like match compression, but because it is a Sunday game, it's a little bit different. You do have an extra day versus if you played Wednesday, Saturday. So that's something to keep in mind that maybe allows you to give guys a little bit different run either midweek here or at the end of the week as well. Also, just kudos to Thomas Jacob as well. We've talked about this, but with the red card suspension there to Anea Mihai, Jacob was forced inside. You wouldn't have known at all that he's been playing more on the outside than the inside. I think that's obviously what he's all about. And then Matt Edwards stepping up, filling in. Ronald Hernandez late came in as a sub, had a big clearance off of the goal line. It wasn't going to go in, but you never knew who it was going to reach. And so good job there. Again, it's some of the small things in moments that make the difference. Talked about Hoyos up to the task twice. Hernandez just at the right place, right time after Hoyos had been drawn off the line. It's not the most significant play in your stat book, but in terms of what it could have meant, just a lot of guys stepped up into roles that maybe they aren't overly they're preferred, but guys did a good job. Matt Edwards on the outside right as well.
Yep, Tomas Jakob was 32 of 34 passing from a center back position, 2 for 2 on the dribble, 56 touches, 2 touches inside the 18, 1 pass into the final third, 5 defensive contributions, 1 tackle, a clear, 3 picks, 3 recoveries, and he was 5 of 6 on his duels. He had 1 foul. Had 1 foul committed on him offensively. Junior Alonso punched a 7.7 yesterday. And that's what you're also looking for with that experience at that left center back position too. And he was the other guy that was available at the back post who let the ball go on the service to Fafa Pico on goal number 2. So he was one of 2 guys that had made it to the far post and wasn't marked by Red Bulls in that situation.
Yeah, at that point, let the finisher take the finish. Let the guy who's getting paid up there to score goals. Which, speaking of, we did get a little bit more news about Briel Mbolo, potentially the next striker there for Atlanta United. And it was confirmed that the team is active in talks. They have been targeting him as one of 3 strikers they wanted to go after, and feels like he's the guy, and feels just a moment until that becomes official, hopefully. So, I'm not going to speak for everyone. I know you can look at stats or look at the leagues or look at whatever. I heard someone already complaining about his fitness, even though he hasn't played here yet. I think that's a good, exciting, relatively young striker that has done so at a high level, that is one of the leaders of his country. And so I think that would be a very good addition as compared to some of the other names that were kind of, sprinkled around, rumored over the course of the offseason.
Finalizing, this is from The Athletic this morning, finalizing a deal to sign him from Stade Rennes for a fee in the region of $18 million. Once again, that had been reported. Marquee striker signing, and this is the wording from The Athletic. Atlanta's been working hard on most of the summer alongside the departure of Latte Lot. Latte Lot, the league's most expensive signing 20 months ago, $22 million from Middlesbrough. Swiss international, 10 goals, 3 assists, 34 appearances for Rennes last season. Previously featured for Monaco and Borussia Mönchengladbach in recent seasons. One of the 5 most expensive signings in MLS history. Atlanta United responsible for 5 of the top 10. Latte Lot, Thiago Almada, Pity Martinez, Ezequiel Barco. And so it's a part of this overhaul, but it's been one thing that we have seen throughout ever since the birth of Atlanta United. They are not afraid to take the big swing, and they continue to do so, because I would be more concerned if they didn't take a big swing for that striker position, but they just continue to keep chasing after it. And it looks like Briel Mbolo, Mauricio Culebro in the pregame show, talking with Mike and Jason and stuff that was broken on 92.9. You're getting closer and closer and closer to Mbolo in the neighborhood of 18 million.
Yeah, and the fact that you won on Saturday, you scored 2 goals, doesn't change the fact that you need a goal scorer, because 2 goals probably should have been 4, maybe could have been 5 if you have a true finisher up there. So, this is still a team. I know it's short-term memory. It looks good, but if you zoom out a little bit, it's still having a tough season, and goals have still been harder to come by than they need to be, especially considering what has been a relatively dangerous build-up time after time after time, and just issues in the box, around the box, and just finishing in general. So I think once they get that cleared, along with Mauricio Amaro, we might have an opportunity, John, and this is what excites me, because I don't think the season's going to be saved. I think you're too far back at this point, but you might get a look at what next season could turn into, and that's that wonky sprint season. So if you get hot for 3 games in a sprint season, like you're going to make the playoffs. But the opportunity to get Amaro in there, the opportunity potentially to get Mbolo in there, figure out what you're doing across the back line, because you got a rotating cast of character of center backs. including Paulo Diaz, who we were hoping to see. Maybe we get a chance at midweek. That's the thing that I'm looking forward to over the course of the rest of this season, assuming you get this signing made and then get him in here, the visa process and worked into the flow of things, is you might get a pretty good look over the last however many games it is, 7, 8, 10, 12, I don't know, however many games it's going to be, of what this team might look like moving forward, at least backbone-wise. And so that would be certainly an exciting reason to stay locked into what Atlanta United is doing, is even though they are where they are in the standings, if you get a look at what next year could hold, I think that's pretty exciting.
So it's you and me Wednesday night at 7:30. Is this accurate, sir?
Yeah, that sounds accurate. And then obviously back at it post game. I mean, more than after dark. So, slumming the midnight oil or burning the midnight oil.
Get Wilson Pickett queued up. We'll have Dom get Wilson Pickett ready for the post game show.
Well, if we win.
Well, true. As always, my friend, thanks for batting leadoff. It's great to talk about 3 points instead of 3 things that frustrate us on a Monday morning. And I will see you in 2 days. Be good.
Yep, sounds good. Appreciate it, John.
There he goes, Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game. And yes, you heard correctly. It is going to be Abe and me and Abe in the studios at Colony Square because of here in the Kaiser Permanente studios. We will play you the reason why that it is going to be me and Abe Gordon. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. We start your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. So from the Kaiser Permanente studios, we tell you this. The U17s continue their camp as they prepare for the World Cup coming up later on later on because the groups have now been formed. And so it is an opportunity for Caracrinian to get everything squared away with the U17s yesterday. And they waited until, the sun was behind the trees before kicking off in the conditions down in Fayetteville. It was Chile that was a part of this 4-team circuit that is going on down in Fayetteville. And it was the U.S.'s turn to catch up with Chile and find out where they stand when it comes to the U17s and international play. 1 goal on the board. Took a while for it to get there. And here is said goal, and you'll recognize the voice, courtesy of U.S. Soccer, 65th minute. Jason's on the call.
Stanislaus went to ground, didn't get the call. Murray will turn and slip it through. Paletta dribbles past one. Loredana Paletta driving forward to Sullivan. Sullivan back post, headed home. Goal! Goal! Goal, United States. The 2 substitutes heavily involved. Loredana Paletta laid it off to Jordan Sullivan. Sullivan put it on a platter for Deuce Stanislaus. And it's 1-0 United States.
And that would be the margin, 1-0. The U.S. U17s get the win against Chile. And the next matchup in this window for the U17s down in Fayetteville at the Arthur M. Blank National Training Center is against Canada Wednesday afternoon at 5. And that's going to be on the U.S. Soccer YouTube channel. Maddie will be on the call for that. And so because she is in Fayetteville, I am now being recruited to go hang out with Abe in Colony Square for pre and post and all the things. So it'll be 7:30 pregame, 8:40 kick. So Abe and I will be in the studios in Colony Square. Jason and Mike will be up in at Allianz, and hopefully they won't play Wonderwall when they're done. So that'll be 8:40 kick, and we should be wrapping up the show about midnight. So that'll be, and then we'll be back at it again on Thursday morning, and everything will be normal then. And we'll go over everything that happened Wednesday night on the Thursday show with the power hour, and everything should be kind of up and swinging at that point. So that is Wednesday, and that's why things are going to be kind of all over the place with Wednesday and the Loons and Atlanta United. So obviously we'll keep an eye on all that stuff. But yes, opening kickoff, big win for the U17s against Chile in this window at the Arthur M. Blank National Training Center down in Fayetteville. Next matchup once again against Canada. That one Wednesday afternoon at 5. Hydration breaks, I imagine, will be plentiful, but it's supposed to be cooling off. So it won't be like it is here in Atlanta today, where it's supposed to be 97 with heat indices of about 104. And that's the other reason that you're going to be playing matches early in the day, because it's going to be hot as you know what tomorrow at 11 o'clock when the Twos take on Chicago Fire 2. So that's your rundown there. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting off with the most important stories of the day and in the game. Right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, once again, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy-bodied. Notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. So we've talked about it. So now it's a chance to hear it all and find out what happened with Atlanta United and New York Red Bulls. And for Red Bulls, they were coming in and they were in the mix in the 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, very, very crowded in the Eastern Conference. And obviously Atlanta United is adrift at the bottom. Goal by Emil Forsberg in the 6th minute. And it was a nice pass by Mehmeti. You know, Julian Hall and Mehmeti working the outside. Julian Hall comes in, finds Mehmeti. Mehmeti top of the 18. Finds Forsberg between two defenders. Nice job by Forsberg to let the ball through. So all he has to do is turn around and fire and beat Lucas Ojos to the near post. It's 1-0. Stayed that way until the 70th minute. And like we were discussing with Abe, traditionally when you play teams that, quoting Nick, press as much as they do, it's the last 15 of each half. We can expand that out at least to 20 in this go-round, and also we can figure out when the substitutions were for Michael Bradley to try and lock this one down. He had not substituted to that point. And so it was an opportunity for Atlanta United, with the lineup being what it was from Red Bulls, to take advantage of it. They did just that. Here is goal number 1, Mike and Jason's version, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app.
Baez slowly coming forward and centering it now to Gill outside the Atlanta arc, and he'll come out of the defensive third and play it ahead to Cooper Sanchez, who turns at the right halfway line and dribbles into the Red Bulls half and flicks it ahead now to Jacob. Jacob with a cross to Moranchuk, poke to Moyemba inside the arc, shot, score! In the first half, he put one over the crossbar from close range. He makes up for it with a beautiful goal here in the 70th minute to equalize.
Back-to-back golazos for Tristan Muyumba. Similar to the goal from Philadelphia. Opens the hips and puts it into the far side. But the buildup is brilliant from Atlanta United. Cooper Sanchez involved in the early stage. The ball down the right. Jacob with the cutback. What a little flick from Alexei Moranchuk, who will get the assist. And Tristan Muyumba takes a deep breath, settles it, and then places that up in the corner. Great finish from Tristan Muyumba. 1-1.
All right. So we've been referencing it, and I found it. I had not gotten rid of it. Let's go back to August 1st. How similar was it? Let's get our answer. 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app.
Damiani, though, clears, and that is picked off by Baez. Knocks it down to Moyemba in front of the halfway line. Ahead to Alonso on the near touchline square to Moranchuk, who gives it to Moyemba, who's past his man Bueno to the left of the arc, and he'll shoot. Score! Tristan Muyemba beats Andre Blake to the right upper 90, and Atlanta United has scored for a second time tonight, playing down a man.
Beautiful from Tristan Muyumba. He has the space. Atlanta stayed up after the corner. Junior Alonso helped recycle the play. And Muyumba able to dribble into space. No one from Philly steps out on him. And he hits a curler with the right foot from 25 plus, beating Blake to the far side. Goal of the week from Tristan Muyumba. 2-0 Atlanta.
His second goal of the year. I'm not sure if Moranchuk will get an assist on that. If he does, it would be his fourth.
He should.
2-0 Atlanta.
And then that was fairly similar. It also reminded me of the one in Toronto from earlier this year, too, when they were having to fight the conditions and the grass at BMO. So you don't step out on Tristan. Tristan will do that. And so it was 1-1 at that point. Just to give you Tristan's numbers, and we'll hear from Tristan in a bit. Full 90 minutes. XG and XGOT just under 1. XG plus XA, 1.29. 28 to 34 passing, 82%. 2 chances created, 1 big chance created. Shots on target, 1 and 1 off. In the attack, 46 touches, 3 for 4 on the dribble, 4 touches inside the opposition 18, 4 passes inside to the final third, into the final third. Defensively, 1 defensive contribution, had a tackle and 4 recoveries. He was 5 of 8 on his duels on the day. So that gets us to 1-1. Then, inside that window that we talk about against pressing teams, 82nd minute, and we discussed DISCUSSED. The idea of the short corner. We'll play through it again, but here is goal number 2, Fafa Pico, 92.9 the game in the Odyssey app.
Short corner to Moranchuk, out of the far corner, back to Almiron. Here's his cross to the back post. Header! Score! Fafa Pico! Off a set piece, comes from behind to take the lead in the 82nd minute. And he won't get an assist, but this was all created by a corner that was produced by Adrian Gill.
Gill hit the monster switch. Jacob ran it down and got the corner. Fafa Pico get a yellow card for taking his jersey off. Short corner routine, excellent. Header from Pico at the back post, off of Horvath and in. Moranchuk with his second assist.
Almiron will get the primary assist, so it's Pico's second goal of the year, Almiron's 4th assist, and Moranchuk with a total of 6 now, 2 tonight.
All right, so let's break this down. With the short corner that happened with Atlanta United, here's what happened for those of you that either weren't watching or missed it or it has escaped memory like it did mine. So the setup was Miggy is prepared to take the corner. Alexi is basically at the edge of the 18. The edge of the 18. But he's not in a straight line. He's kind of off a little bit, maybe a stride from being in line with Miggy and his idea for an in swinger. You're probably a handful of yards off the in line. So Alexi has pulled himself away from the in line in a direct line with Miggy, about halfway up the border of the 18. Miggy passes to Alexi. Alexi pushes it further out toward the elbow on the far side. You notice in that moment that Red Bulls kind of had a bit of an O-ish to it. It's like, O-ish, it's a short corner, and you see more than your normal number of defenders rush to the far elbow at the edge of the 18. So that creates opportunity for Junior Alonso and for Fafa Pico, who were both unmarked at the far post. Great service that time by Miggy as it's the windows opened up and it's not as acute an angle. It's a wider angle, and you've got more to play with. Sent in far post. Alonso lets it go, and he was also kind of guarding to make sure that no one got to Fafa Pico. Pico heads it down into Horvath, and Horvath is falling as he's trying to save it. It goes into the net to make it 2-1. So that would be your eventual game winner that we look at here in this match. And it was mentioned in the buildup of the goal. No, actually, at the tail end of the description by Mike about Adrian Gill. And we've mentioned Gill's numbers. Here's the play that led to the corner that ended up being your eventual game-winning goal. Here is that particular play that was a part of Adrian Gill's dossier on Saturday night. Once again, 92.9 the game in the Odyssey app.
1-1 game off the throw. Here is Gill on the right wing, back to Sanchez, back further. The backside of center circle. It's a long diagonal played up to Fafa Pico. Squared to Moyamba, edge of the attacking third. Scoop back to Hernandez and center to Gill below center circle. He'll play the long diagonal for Jacob. It'll bounce at the corner flag. Jacob saves it and is able to blast across. That'll be blocked out for a corner.
What a ball from Adrian Gill. This is why that I will sit here and tell everybody to pay more attention to Atlanta United 2 and what's going on, because Adrian Gill comes into the lineup and nobody really had anything to say about what he brings to the table. He brings that to the table. He brings what we've seen tonight to the table.
So, after the match, Jason catches up with Adrian Gill, and here is that conversation in the locker room after the 2-1 win. Your post game with Jason and Adrian Gill.
How has this night been for you? Getting the start, big win for the team.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've been dreaming about this, and I had basically 3 years, 2 knee surgeries where I was out, didn't touch a soccer field. So just coming here, getting a new opportunity, and finally getting to get a debut, a start, play 90, it's incredible.
How important has Javier Perez and Jose Silva been in getting you to this point?
I think they gave me the freedom to kind of learn how to play the 6 again, remember what it's like to play a 90-minute game, and just very supportive in everything I do. If I mess up, they're supportive and just kind of help me to get to this point. But obviously there's so much more work to do, so we're not finished at all.
Big first assignment playing a team like Red Bulls who gives you no time on the ball. How long did it take to kind of settle into what they were doing against you?
I think I'm not very used to how we pressed or how we played out. So I think, after the first 15, 20 minutes, I kind of understood where I was supposed to be. The nerves kind of worn off, and I felt good after the first 15, 20 minutes.
For the team as a whole, after what happened in Philadelphia, losing that game, coming back today after conceding first, what does it mean for the group going forward in your mind?
I mean, I think the team has the level, and we've been if you watch us train, we have such a good level. It's such a good team, and we've just gotten unlucky in games. And I think finally making this comeback is kind of just the statement that we needed, and I think that, sky's the limit.
And you mentioned it earlier, the 2 knee surgeries. It's been the season with the 2s to get you to this point. How has that helped your confidence, but also your confidence in your knee?
Definitely a lot. I mean, there's so many firsts I had to go through. Just the first duel, the first 50-50 where my leg was extended, turning tight turns, all that, it's nervous after you get a knee surgery. So that really helped me, and now I had the confidence to go out there and just play free.
There you go. There's the conversation Jason had with Adrian Gill, and to the point that was made by Jason on the broadcast and by us pretty much ever since day one. There's a reason we spend as much time discussing the academy and Atlanta United 2 as we do, is so that when these individuals come up and are a part of the first team activity, you know what they bring to the table. That's why we call the 2s games. That's why we do all the features that we do on the 2s. That's why when, Arif Kovac has the moment that he has in Huntsville, that we chase after Arif and have him talk about what's going on. as much of a team player as Arif is, and he wants to be able to share the positivity that comes out of those kinds of games. That's why we talk to the leading, right now, the Golden Boot leader in MLS Next Pro. That's why we talk to Cameron Dunbar and have those conversations on our YouTube channel. That's why we have that's why we discuss folks like Andrew Hardinas, who has been paired with Adrian Gill. Gill is top quarter, by the way, in a lot of key categories in midfield, both offensively and defensively, in MLS Next Pro here in 26. But it's when these folks come forward, when there's a John O. Ransom and a James Donaldson and a Daniel Chica, a Matthew Sananu, a Mohamed Cisse, a Dominic Chong-Kui, Hardinas, Gill, Dovolo, Dunbar, Kovac, Ignacio Suarez, Corey, all these names, so that when they pop up with the first team, you sit there and go, yeah, I've seen them with the twos. I know what they bring to the table. That's why. And then when you see what happens against Red Bulls from a player that we've been spending a lot of time on, because you need to know, that's why. You wander into the building, yeah, I've found out what he's been doing with the twos. Came through the Barcelona system, part of La Masia. And had those 3 surgeries, and he's now out the other side. Took him a little while to figure out and just to kind of relearn how to play a 6. But now you've seen what Adrian Gill brings to the table in a first-team perspective, but you know what happens from the second team and with the twos. That's why we do this, to give you the full picture as to what's going on with Atlanta United. So Adrian Gill had a great had a great night against Red Bulls. Also on the board, it was conversations that were had with Tristan Muyimba and Lucas Ojos. So here is Jason's conversation with Tristan after the match, where Tristan got your game winner.
Baez slowly coming forward.
Oh, that's a Tristan goal, not Tristan Post, John, where it says Tristan Post. Let's try it again.
How important is it, after what happened in Philadelphia, to come back tonight and get this win?
Very, very important. Very, very, very important for the confidence, for the team, and also for the fans, because we've been playing away for couple of weeks. It's been a while we didn't play in front of our fans, our family, and it was good to show this face from the team.
And then for you personally, had an opportunity in the first half. You end up getting the equalizer in the second. Yeah. Just how did the night go for you as a whole?
It's part of the life of being a footballer, up and down, and you just need to move on and think about the next play. And I was really disappointed and frustrated about the miss on the first half. But fortunately, I'm happy and glad to score the equalizer and most of all to win the game.
Alexi talked about how much the support of the fans is important. How did it feel for you being on the field with them and making that noise today?
We know how for us it's crucial. It's kind of crucial. The fans, the community, we know how important they are for the club, for the city, and it's always good having them behind us. So it's like I said, it's like playing with 12 men. So they are such important for us. Yeah.
Tristan Muyimba after the match, and once again we went over Tristan's numbers, and it literally was one of those matches, and it's a good problem to have, where you had a couple of different folks that you could name as man of the match. Like I said, we went with Tristan because of the game-winning goal. I could have easily gone with Adrian, considering what he brought to the table in his MLS debut. And then here's the third member of that equation, and it was Lucas Ojos. And for me, I looked at Lucas's numbers, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. It seemed like they undersold his night between the sticks. But here are the numbers. 2 saves. And they looked at those, and it was the 2 big ones that Abe brought up earlier in the show. It was the one late where he goes to his left and gets it away from the near post, and it squirrels away and ends up as a corner and saves the 2-1 at that point. And then there was the one where he goes to his right in the first half. No, it was also it was where he goes to his right and he makes the save. And so it was 2 saves. I thought it was more than that, but officially 2 saves. XGOT faced was a 1.93, goals prevented 0.93, although I'd love to know how you prevent 0.93 of a goal. And Lucas's numbers passing also were like eyebrow raising at points, because you had 26 of 33 passing. Right. And David, this is exactly what I'm getting into here. David mentioned started the attack on the first goal with the right to left switch against pressure. 26 of 33 passing, but 11 of 18 on long balls. 11 of 18. 11 of 18 on long balls and 26 of 33 passing. 2 diving saves, 1 save inside the box. That was the one second half where he goes to his left. 1 punch clear, 4 recoveries, 1 clear, 37 touches, 1 a ground duel, and 1 an aerial duel, and he was also 1 for 1 on the dribble. So that was Lucas Ojos's night. And so after the match, and this was a conversation that we didn't have the opportunity to make air with. Here was a conversation that Jason had with Lucas Ojos, and the other person that you'll hear is Justin Veldhaus, who is the voice that you hear with Maddie and Tata Martino and any of the Spanish-speaking players. Justin is the member of Atlanta United's communications team that you hear in the in-betweens. So here is Jason with Lucas and with Justin.
Let's start with conceding first. Really difficult opponent in the Red Bulls. How important is it to come back and get the win at home?
El equipo recibió el primer gol contra un equipo difícil contra New York. ¿Qué tan importante fue poder remontar para ganar el partido?
Sí, fue muy importante porque necesitábamos una victoria, más que nada también como se había dado la última derrota en Philly. Así que es importante para seguir creyendo en este grupo, seguir mejorando y seguir corrigiendo cosas que todavía nos cuestan goles.
It was really important because we needed this win as a team, especially coming off the way we lost in Philadelphia. So I think it was important. The way the team is, it's good for the group. The way the team is still coming together and continuing to improve. And we know we still have a lot of things that we need to correct. But yeah, we're on that track.
How difficult was it to find distribution, to find the passes for you with the Red Bulls pressure?
La manera que presiona Red Bulls, ¿qué tan difícil fue para ti encontrar los pases en la salida?
Sí, lo trabajamos en la semana, sabíamos que presionaban, que hacían una muy buena presión y bueno, buscábamos especialmente en el segundo tiempo dónde estaban los espacios con videos tácticos en el entretiempo y eso ayudó también a la salida y a que el equipo sintiera un poco de alivio en la presión de ellos.
We worked on it during the week because we know that Red Bulls is a team that presses very, very well. So we're able to prepare with different videos and things to try and be ready for it. And I think that gave the team the options we needed to be able to play out of the back.
And the last one, you had a huge save late. It took a deflection right in front of you. What do you remember about the save?
Tuviste una muy gran parada en los últimos momentos del partido. ¿Qué te acuerdas de esa jugada?
No, jugada rápida, fue un roce que le pasa entre las piernas y le pegan el taco a Stian y bueno, la saqué con la uña.
It was a very fast play. It was a play that took a couple deflections through someone's legs, and then it hits the heel of Stian, and I was able to get it just with my fingernail.
Yeah, no joke there. He got it with his fingernail, full extension to his left, and kept the game at 2-1. Lucas Ojos after his big day for Atlanta United. All right, as promised, before Bart joins us here coming up in about 5 minutes, and like I said, with Bart, we'll go through what the Premier League wants to do, and we'll go through some Reds. And then we've got your college mashup, and Keidane McAlpine joining us at 11 o'clock. We'll go through all of your gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Also, there are some signings. There's some movement. We've got to get into all that stuff, and we'll have that coming up for you here in short order. But as promised, here is the Apple TV version of things. And once again, it is Jess Charman and Ian Joy on the call. Here is goal number 1 for Atlanta United, the Tristan Muyumba goal. Jess Charman and her pipes.
They've definitely left the door open for Atlanta United. Cooper Sanchez, the U.S. Youth International, goes forwards. Jacob drives it. Moranchuk touches. Muyumba! Muyumba! Wow! Tristan Muyumba, pure perfection with the finish. Atlanta United have equalised.
Of the highest order. Lovely little cutback, and I love this touch from Moranchuk, but nobody closes Muyumba down. He's got a couple of goals coming into this game, including one in that last game against Philly, but this is an absolute class finish. Top bin, absolutely nothing that Ethan Horvath can do about it. Take a bow.
We conversated about where maybe the head.
And there's goal number 1. So that was, yes, Ian Joy. Take a bow, most certainly. All right, so that's goal number 1. I tied it at 1 on the Apple TV call. What about the second goal and the short corner? So here's the short corner, goal number 2, your eventual game winner, Jess and Ian Joy, courtesy of Apple TV.
Drop back in, Almiron services, back post for Pico! He scores! Re-energizes Mercedes-Benz. Atlanta United with the comeback, 2-1 leaders.
And he should enjoy it. But 1 against 2 doesn't work. Almiron to the back post. Nobody picks up Fafa Pico. Nobody follows the run. And all he does is redirect it towards goal. Ethan Horvath takes a bit of contact off his leg and then goes through his legs. But that's all down to Pico. Belief, confidence in making it happen.
And Junior Alonso, once again, acting as bodyguard in all of that. Like I said, Junior Alonso was just as open. He was about a half step behind in the charge to the net. But Pico is at the far post, puts it in off of Horvath into the net, 2-1, and that was your final. So those are your 2 goal calls, 2 versions. Jess's version, kind of like Maddie's version, but Jess's version and the 92-9 version. 2-1 win for Atlanta United, and Red Bulls not happy leaving town and heading back on a quick turn for matches in the midweek. Remember, full slate of matches on Wednesday. Almost everybody's back active on Saturday. Then you have your 2 games on Sunday, Sunday Night Soccer, Atlanta and Sporting Kansas City, 7:10 kick on Apple TV. But before that one, it's New England and NYC from Gillette. That one, once again, 4:40 kick from Gillette. And we'll effort our friend Daniel Sperry from the Kansas City Star later in the week to see if we can get the intel from Sporting, because Sporting is going to be down 2 players. And it's, as I sit here and look at, where am I here? So, yeah, Sporting is going to be down 2 players for their interstate derby against St. Louis City SC in the midweek. And that's going to be the Apple TV FS1 Fox Deportes match. So that would be 8:20 kick with Sporting and St. Louis as they go there before they come to Atlanta. And so now we start hour number 2. And first off, we start hour number 2 with our hydration break. What? Oh, you're in your car?
Yeah, I am actually driving up to Greenville, Charlotte, and then I'll finish the day. I'll finish the day in Charlotte. Tomorrow I'll be in Raleigh.
Wow. Okay. So we're starting with a hydration break, by the way, brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor Stores. 2 locations in the Atlanta area, Johns Creek and Cumberland. Corner of Cumberland, Parkway and Cobb Parkway. You go in with a list, you'll come out with a lot more. Trust me, the place is huge. I want to start with Community Shield because I figured you might want to start with Community Shield, considering that it was a 3-0 dominant performance by your Arsenal. Your Arsenal going up against Manchester City, who is still trying to figure themselves out under Enzo Maresca. So how much of that did you get to watch?
All of it. All of it, from the first kickoff and very quickly ensuing first goal to the very last. I didn't get to watch the trophy lift because apparently that wasn't allowed on actual television. So I did watch that on Blue Sky later on. But John, look, I think there are two competing mindsets, and I fall in between them. Of this matters a lot. Look at how much Arsenal dominated Manchester City, and it's a preseason game still. That said, John, the Premier League starts this weekend. For Arsenal, it starts Friday, right? So what I feel about these, especially for Arsenal, is it was a half and half, first choice lineup, second choice lineup. But I'd rather my team look good a week before the season starts than my team not look pretty good the week before the season starts. So yes, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things unless it's Man City winning a trophy, and then of course it matters. But winning does matter at the end of the day. I think winning trophies matters, even if it's a big plate. But I just think that means we're going to be eating a lot this week.
Yep, so. And as long as Declan Rice doesn't hang on to that trophy, because the trophy of for those that might have missed it. When you put something, when you have something on a table, and there's always that tripod leg that goes from the back of a photo, and it's there to kind of brace things so you can have whatever that is that you want to see upright.
Yeah.
Declan Rice puts that big old appetizer plate, puts it in the air, but apparently someone either forgot to tell Declan Rice that the tripod leg was not fastened to the back of the appetizer plate. Or just, he did something and it became dislodged. But that tripod leg, that brace, smacked Declan Rice square in the grill as he was holding the appetizer plate. It made for good.
So, someone's grandmother is freaking out about the china. So,
yes.
Declan, come on, man.
Yes, come on now. You know how this works. Sundays for Sunday brunches, you know how this goes. You got to make sure that the plate is flat and solid and safe. And so Declan Rice has some learning to do when it comes to holding up appetizer plates. All right. You mentioned the Premier League, so this is where we get in with our in here. We get to let everybody know what's going on. So you brought this to my attention, and considering how the PGMOL is, I believe, no longer the PGMOL. They're different. They have a different name for themselves.
They took off the L. They're no longer limited, licensed, whatever it was a legal terminology that they included in the acronym.
Right. So they are no longer, they are Ellis. They're an Ellis group. It is, the Premier League has set its quote, football principles, end quote, and quote, refereeing points of emphasis for the 26-27 season, which help guide how referees will apply the laws of the game in the competition. And so then header, what are the Premier League football principles for 26-27? The high thresholds for penalizing challenges on field and for VAR intervention will continue in the Premier League. Please treat this like Plinko and just interrupt when you see fit. The Premier League and PGMO, actually it's more like Pressure Luck, will continue to lobby IFAB on opening up access to live audio for refereeing and VAR decisions.
Yeah.
On VAR delays, the Premier League and the PGMO continue to build and deliver on aspects outlined in the, quote, VAR improvement plan. I feel like I need like some kind of reverb and some bass when I have something like that, including improving efficiency around semi-automated offside technology, referee announcements, and continued specific VAR training. Subsection, football principles. And so blah, 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 maintain the high threshold for VAR, more efficient application of VAR, including improved use of semi-automated offside technology to reduce VAR delays, continue to focus on in-stadium VAR experience, continue a robust approach to improving participant behavior on field and in the technical area, and maintain stronger measures to reduce time wasting and disruption tactics. What say you, sir?
Well, I think a couple of these are continuations of what we saw last year. A couple of these are continuations, or I guess adoptions, if you will, that IFAB has kind of mandated from the top. We talked before the World Cup about some of the, and we'll get into this, laws of the game changes that do make the game a little quicker, makes the delays less delayable. And so that's kind of what this is. I mean, there are a couple things in here that I think we griped about a lot last year when it comes to VAR. And in this article, this piece from Premier League, they talk about a survey they took, and basically the survey results were that 65% of respondents were basically cool with the level of threshold for VAR, and then like what's 65 divided? So 35, so about 17% more were saying, hey, we need to have a higher threshold. 17% said we need a lower threshold. I think what we're finding is we kind of like what we have. It just needs to be held to. And I think that was one of the issues we had with VAR and other refereeing last year in the Premier League was, okay, we said this, but did you actually do that? And I think especially we get into like holding and goalkeeper interference was one that came up a lot last year of, okay, well, what constitutes unnecessary holding, right? What constitutes interfering with the goalkeeper, especially on set pieces? Those two things especially, I'm interested to see if there were what the video training did this summer. We won't see that, but now that we have a full season of film that referees can look at and be trained on, will we see more consistency this year in those two areas of contentious behavior, especially on set pieces?
Contentious behavior, he says. Okay, so changes to the laws of the game. Players who receive on-field injury treatment / assessment will be required to leave for at least 1 minute, an increase from the 30 seconds previously used by the Premier League. Welcome to the rest of the world, Mr. Columbus. The 5-second countdown and restart reversal for clearly delaying throw-ins and goal kicks, parenthesis. If the time limit is exceeded, the throw-in is awarded to the opposing team. For a goal kick, the opposing team is awarded a corner. Once again, Mr. Columbus, welcome to the new world. A 10-second time limit for players to leave the field when substituted. If the time limit is exceeded, the substitute cannot enter until the first stoppage after 1 minute has elapsed, which could be longer than a minute. So that's dangerous if there's a team in possession. And then number 4, VAR review when second yellow cards are awarded to a player, resulting in a red card only for when players are awarded a second yellow rather than a potential second yellow card. Those are 4 to the floor in the changes. What say you?
Okay, so I have to take personal feelings out of this for a second, because personally, I'm still not a huge fan of forcing a player by law of the game to sit after being.
And there goes Bart. I knew. That's what's important. So go ahead. There you go.
The law of the game changing about, okay, you have to set out a minute if you have an injury and have required someone to come on the field. Again, I think my personal feeling is I don't like that this is a law of the game. However, I like that this is something that I would prefer to have been something that leagues can institute, because I do think that, again, when you look at the professional game as a whole, we get really annoyed when a player may or may not be actually in, and the training staff comes on the field, and then we're looking at 2, 3, 5 minutes of, okay, well, why are they still getting ready on the field? And everyone and their mother comes over and gets the drink of the water out of the squirt bottles that the trainer brings on the field. And so from that standpoint, this is a good thing. Again, I just don't like that it's a law. But again, what we're seeing here is trying to make sure more soccer is played during a soccer game. that is a
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
Obviously, other laws the game changes. The 5-second throw-in countdown. I'm not a fan of it just from a. I feel like all the referees are doing now is counting. I count 8 seconds when the goalkeeper has the ball. We got to count 5 seconds. Someone doesn't immediately get out the ball and throw it in.
Right.
But again, the goal is play more soccer during a soccer game. Have fewer delays, and if it does that, then I suppose that we are doing a good thing.
Yes, absolutely true. Where are you right now? You said you're in Greenville. Is that right?
I'm in Anderson, South Carolina.
Oh, Anderson. Okay, so Ashford.
I am
Okay,
older. I am not. I'm not driving currently.
yeah, no. We believe we believe in safe guesting. That was why, I just wanted to let everybody know why your signal is drifting in and out is because you're in Anderson and there are actual trees and people are, working their way up and down the freeway. So, I can't wait. I can't wait until we start having the discussions about the Premier League. And we sit there and go, well, they said they were going to do this, this, and this. And they, after 1 week, everybody's going to sit there and start pointing and go, well, they didn't do it. I'm waiting for all of the gnashing of teeth and the wringing of hands after 1 week with these these ideas that they want to bring.
Well, especially, I think with VAR intervention, John, because there's going to be a play this weekend that you go, wow, come on, how is that not clear and obvious? And the reality is, well, it's not. Maybe a handball is a great one because I think that was another point of emphasis they talked about in this article was lessons that we're not trying to call a lot of handballs. We are trying to be very limited in what we consider deliberate actions in terms of handballs. So, is that going to be clear and obvious? Because is it just clear and obvious because it's their hand?
Yeah.
Or is it clear and obvious because the hand is moving towards the ball, or is it clear and obvious because, or not clear and obvious because, well, it looks like there wasn't a lot of time for the defender to react or whatever. But you're right. There's going to be something, especially I think in the VAR intervention where someone's going to go, well, that was, you looked at this last week or you did this in another game this week. And it's just, again, I think hopefully we have a season's worth of film and a season's worth of examples for the referees to have reviewed this offseason that will get it more right in the upcoming 26-27 season.
Yes. So, and that was the other reason that I wanted to let everybody know where Bart was, is because, no, he is not sick. No, he did not yell all day yesterday. That is why he is somewhat distorted with his voice, is because he is in Anderson, South Carolina, and on his way northbound. So, okay.
Is this any better?
No, what? Yes, right there. Yeah, don't move. Whatever.
So
you
it was
did,
the headphones.
cleaned it up.
It was my headphones.
Okay.
I was trying to use headphones for, in theory, a better microphone. That clearly didn't work.
Oh, but this sounds great because you're in your own hermetically sealed studio. So there it is. Otherwise known as a car. Now it's time to get into the Reds, and there were two.
How many?
There were 6. You said there were 6 Reds.
There were, and we didn't have any on Sunday, so we got it all out on Saturday. Luckily.
Yes. Yeah. So we had 6 Reds on Saturday, and as you were coming in, I had made the statement that 2 of those Reds are going to impact Sporting Kansas City in the midweek when they play St. Louis City, who's unbeaten, I think, in now 11. And then they get to integrate those.
Unfortunately
players
for Atlanta United, it
doesn't
affect us for our game. Unfortunately, right? Like, goodness gracious, we couldn't have.
Well, unless Disco adds a game for whatever, because the first Red that we are going to play could have an extra game attached to it, and it'll be, and this is a familiar voice that you'll hear. It's Christian Miles and Casey White. KCD and Christian had this game. So here is the first red card that was issued in this game. And I'm thinking that this one may end up getting another game with it. Well, here's the play, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Oh, it's a real strong high boot. Chandler Jejabing right in front of the referee. And a reach to the back pocket, straight red. Ejebang will go off.
Leaving his feet in retreating moments. So watch the left foot coming all the way through. That type of tackle that brings both of his legs together around Navarro. And this fourth.
Yeah. So
that was easy.
This one where literally you have a defender and it's literally you're doing a slide tackle and both legs are up in the air and you're late to the ball, and Kwaku Ajibang got an early vacation, and my guess is, I mean, he was in the 38th minute, but my guess is he might get another one added because of just the veracity of that foul against Colorado.
It's possible, John, because when you get a straight red card like this and you're looking at serious foul play, excessive force, how serious and how excessive, right, are the questions you're asking. And I think, I don't know if they'll get it, but I think you're right to say, well, it might. This was, I mean, even the announcing crew, right? I mean, and as you're watching it, you go, oh, that's bad. And the announcers both were like, yeah, that's a red card. Like there was no hesitation. The crew was like, yeah, that's a red card. And to be fair, from the referee crew, there was no hesitation either. I mean, he didn't immediately go to the back pocket because he first had to make sure that we weren't gonna have a fight break out. I think it was harsh. But it was very clear that the referee who was it? It was she had a couple other moments.
It was Guido Gonzalez Jr. was the man in the middle.
That's right, Guido Gonzalez, who I thought had a good match in this match. Got this pretty spot on right, and quickly, which again is another thing you want from a red card. Is he managed the situation fairly quickly. And boy, that was a good match.
Yep, and Kevin Terry Jr. and Robert Schapp were upstairs for VAR on that one. But yeah, Guido Gonzalez Jr., that one was an easy one. We go straight red, and Ajibang is out for St. Louis. And like I said, do not be surprised if Disco sends a larger envelope to Sporting's business offices in dealing with Ajibang in the 38th minute. And then 90 plus 2, you end up with Moises Mosqueda, and we've got to kind of we'll play it once again. And like I said, it's Christian Miles and KCD. We'll walk through it, we'll play it, but then we'll walk through why it ended up as that ended up as the card that it did. Because for Mosqueda, it was his second yellow in 4 minutes. He got a yellow in the 88. Then with this particular move, 4 minutes later, 90 plus 2 technically, he ends up with his second yellow. And so here is the second red for Sporting against Colorado. Once again, courtesy of our friends at Apple TV. Christian Miles, KCD on the call.
Sporting Kansas City, Atencio looking to break it. Hard charging run on that opposite right-hand side. Reggie Cannon with a lung buster. He goes to ground. He's fouled. Mosqueda carrying a booking. That's going to be red. The Colombian is off. Sporting down to 9.
Go forward by the Rapids in this moment. It was a great ball behind, digging in his right shoulder.
All right, so that was the short version, but yeah, second yellow in 4 minutes. Reggie Cannon got past you, and you had to do something.
Was it a yellow or was it a straight red?
That was the second yellow.
Because this is the question that I'm posing to you, John.
Sure.
Because I think the easy way out was a second yellow. Stopping a promising attack, this absolutely falls underneath that. If you're asking me, and it all comes out in the wash, this could have been dog so.
Yeah.
Because it's a pull from behind, essentially, a push from behind. So we don't even have the legitimate play on the ball type of thing to save him. Not that it really would. It's outside the penalty area, so you don't have the double jeopardy to save you.
Right.
He's pretty much the last defender.
Mm-hmm.
There maybe was another defender-ish, but when you look at the direction and distance to goal, I don't know. This could have been just straight dog.
Well, I think you're right because it's listed as just shown the red. It does not say shown yellow. So I think you're right. It was just straight red.
Okay, which makes sense because this was, to me, it was dog. So again, had it been a second yellow card, it amounts to the same thing. But as we talked about with, just earlier, a straight red card does kind of automatically trigger a review in the way that a double yellow card doesn't quite trigger the same review unless it's for, yellow card for dissent or something. This doesn't need another review in my opinion. Like,
no.
It's a red
Yeah.
card. It's fine.
Yeah.
But to me, this is another spot on decision of, okay, well, it's dog. So two very correct red cards in this game. But again, neither of them likely to affect us in our game against Sporting Kansas City next Sunday. I don't know if the first one will go, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. As I said last week, when you're a bad team, sometimes you get bad luck, and that could happen for Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see what happens with Ajibang and if he gets games added. Okay, so David brings a question to the floor since we are in reffing down here territory. He wanted your take on the intentional handball on Rocco Rios Novo, which he guesses could be dog so if he didn't spill it so badly, but no card whatsoever seems odd. It is an intentional foul play in his mind. And then second point was Rios Novo comes out to play a ball, slips, handles it, still spills to Nashville for a goal. No card given. He gets not a red as he failed to get the D in dog so, but is the yellow proper there?
No, because if you're going to play advantage, for essentially what becomes stopping a promising attack. You're not going to come back and give a yellow card for that.
Okay.
Now, wouldn't give a red card. You could come back and give a yellow, but I think David, kind of did talk about why it's not. Maybe it wasn't a red card. But at the end of the day, again, what we're talking about with double jeopardy that we apply in inside the penalty area with a penalty kick and not giving a red card, we will do that with yellow cards outside of the penalty area as well.
Okay. I'm trying to see if I can find the call quickly to see if that video does in fact exist. All right, so that was the one that went over the top for goal number 4. So that was not the goal in question.
Also, I want to correct Del Schaefer real quick. Anderson, yes, is near Clemson University. Is also near Anderson University.
Yes, the Anderson Trojans of Division II and Coach Bobby Lamb.
Should be noted. Yes, South Atlantic Conference member. We don't like them from where I'm from, but hey, shout out Anderson University and South Atlantic Conference.
I mean, yeah. So
we don't need to talk about an orange team with the
Paul
they use. We don't need to talk about them unless we're mentioning the fact that they lost 70-33 in an Orange Bowl not about 14 years ago. We can talk about that.
Yeah, and it was one of those where everybody got to see Dana Holgerson pounding Red Bull.
Dana,
and that was the that was the whole thing with Dana. It's just like smash the Red Bulls and go from there. But yeah, and so yes, and so like I said, I'm trying to find the goal, and I'm sure that I'll find it long after I've searched for it. But anyway,
yeah, I'm sure. Look, again, double jeopardy is still a thing that we apply outside the penalty area as well. That we try to, because again, if we apply advantage and the team gets to play on and gets something, if we apply an advantage, we're giving an advantage to the attacking team. So we don't want to then penalize the defending team as well for not just giving them advantage, which again, as you mentioned, leads to a goal, and then come back and say, oh, and you get a yellow card. Now, if that yellow card is for a non-stopping a promising attack yellow card offense, like say it's for a yellow card foul, like a bad foul, we can come back and give it for that, but not for just the act of stopping a promising attack.
Okay, there we go. Like I said, David is the over the top last goal. Okay, so came out to play the spilled Nashville goal. No, okay, so.
Well, hey, look, he's going to get a call up apparently to the national team. That was a fun tweet that came out this weekend, and I was like, Rocco Rios Novo. Oh, boy.
Well, but he can go with Rafa Marquez, or it can be he can be Mexico or United States.
He's got people to choose from. I don't think he's good enough for any of them, if I'm just going to be real bluntly honest. And I maintain the same thing that I will say when people wanted him to stick around for Atlanta United. He is not a great goalkeeper, but
okay. So there's
seems like a nice guy.
Penalty miss, and then hand up in the air, and there's the Bob Davey lookalike. That's your Google search for today, kids. Drew Fisher. So final decision, indirect PK. And that's number 1. And so, yeah, like I said, I'll find it. It'll get in there somewhere. Okay. All right. Now, the other thing that you wanted to get into comes from Toronto, and it was the Georgi Mihailovic, red here.
Well, I want to ask you, John, because if you watched this and you saw the clip, did it look like something that we saw last week in an Atlanta United game? That's the question I have for you.
All right. Well, I'm getting to that particular highlight because I got stuck back trying to find the Rocco Rios Novo highlight. So,
well, while you're looking for that, I'll give you I'll talk what Dell just said about Tom Bogert. Said sources that Hibs are finalizing a deal to sign U.S. youth national team forward Colton Swan.
Aren't they trying to get JJ Williams too? Or is that
might be.
That's Hearts. My bad. That's Hearts.
Hearts might actually could use JJ. Deal is for January. Swan will finish season with the Battery. Swan, 19 is Battery's leading scorer with 11 goals. Battery will receive 6-figure fee plus sell-on clause. Yeah, that sounds right. Hibs is probably a USL Championship level team. Anyway.
So all right. So found the play. All right. So I found the play, and it looks like so they go straight red on it. And 76th minute, Toronto's up to Georgi Mihailovic, palms extended, going, what did I do? And so literally he is, I see, and Joe Dickerson, by the way, was VAR in this one. So to me, it does look a bit like the Mihai, but the second leg of Georgi Mihailovic's. And like I said, I'm Zaprudering this, and so that's how I'm looking at it. And I apologize for my posture on the TV side. But so Georgie's he's looking down, and it is contact with the left on the calf/Achilles. And then
it's a little higher than I think Mihai is, but to me, it's a very similar action of it doesn't look like it's super excessive force, right? It's not like he's like kicking it out. It's certainly not like what we saw with Colorado earlier. But I wanted to bring this up because I think the same reason Mihai got a red card is essentially what we see here from Mihailovic.
Well,
I'll
go you one more on Georgi Mihailovic and why I think that it was more than Mihai, because of the right leg follow through the right leg follow through from Mihailovic goes a lot higher in the contact than Mihai did when he was given the red card. So
that's fair.
If you're looking at degrees, I'm saying Georgie's is probably closer to a red than Mihai's, because Mihai had both feet closer to the ground and to the activities around the ball, where Georgie makes contact with his left on the Achilles, and then with the right leg comes through and makes contact higher up the body than me.
Yeah, I buy that. I look, this is a red card. This is a red card. And my point is, when you make contact with your studs on the back of someone's Achilles or anywhere above the boot, it's going to be a problem, right? And I think that, again, is unfortunately what happened with Mihai. Is it wasn't super excessive force by any stretch, but serious foul play is still endangering an opponent like that. And when you step on someone's Achilles, you're endangering them to an unnecessary degree. But it just sucks. I made a joke about it, but good for Colton Swan. I think there are some guys in this U20 championship that proved they can do more than just play at the youth level. Kind of go back to a topic we had last week. I think Cooper was one of those. A lot of these guys were from MLS Next Pro teams. Like I think Ventura County sent half their squad to the U20s. But Dylan Vanny was getting shouts after this. I think a lot of the guys who maybe aren't playing regularly for an MLS squad or already on a direct MLS squad, I could see a lot of them getting moves in the next couple months, because they controlled every game they played. They didn't score a lot of goals, which was the problem, but they did control the matches. And I thought Swan was a pretty decent standout in that tournament.
And so we will keep an eye on all that, and I'll go over the other transactions from the weekend that we got to keep an eye on here as we go. Are you going to stop at the Pilot or the QT or something and get your coffee and get to moving?
Well, I'm at a racetrack right now, so I'm probably going to stop
Good work.
there. Although the Pilot on exit 35 is usually my stop, and easily that is a great stop. But I got stores that hit in Simpsonville, Greer, and Greenville, so I'll probably hit a QT after that. Head over to Indian Land, South Carolina, which is basically just south of Charlotte. Then up to Waxhaw, which is a fantastic city that I suggest you don't go to. And then ending the day visiting some nieces and nephews up in the Charlotte area.
Yes. So if you would please, sir, be safe. And we'll make sure that both hands on the wheel, you get there safely, you do everything, you crush it, and then you get to say hi to nieces and nephews. And we'll be back at it again.
Actually, first time meeting this niece. She was born earlier this year, so I get to see a new bit.
Do you have your WBGV gear or Arsenal gear that?
Actually, I have Steelers gear for them because they are West Virginia fans, but also Steelers fans because a lot of them are like that, and they do not need help with West Virginia gear because grandparents buy them.
So if they're going to get Steelers stuff, it's got to be old school steel curtain stuff. It can't be the current.
It is from the Strip District in Pittsburgh down there, so it is pretty authentic in that regard.
It's got to be the old school players. It can't be the current incarnations with.
No, I agree. I agree with that. But yeah, I get to see them again in a little more than a month because West Virginia plays Virginia in Charlotte. In the big Mayo Bowl thing, not Mayo Bowl, but the big Mayo contest. I don't think we dumped Mayo on someone. We should, but we played, on my birthday, no less. So I'll be seeing them September for that game.
Okay, well then go get caffeinated and go get your food and go see the nieces and the nephews, and we'll catch up with you again next week. I'm glad we were able to figure out that the headset was the issue and not the signal in and of itself.
Of all the things I thought would be the issue, that was not what I thought it was going to be the issue. It's almost like Atlanta United, you go, man, maybe the issue wasn't
what you thought it was.
Maybe the issue we could solve was already in our capacity with Adrian Gill being inserted.
Let him be there at the 6, and you get a.
Maybe all we needed was a 5'3" blonde kid.
He's taller than 5'3". Trust me there. Yeah, he is. Trust me. I see him.
He looks little out there, but
look, with the twos, we get to see him. He is taller than 5'3", sir. Be good. We'll see you next week. There he goes. Y'all. This is Bart Keeler, SoccerForUSPod. He's going to go to work. All right. So Keidane McAlpine, UGA, is set to join us top of the hour. We'll save the college mashup for about 15 minutes from now and get you prepped for that because we're going to talk about the season so far at UGA, and we're going to talk about soccer at Sanford and preps and coming back from Minnesota and hitting the ground running because they came back late yesterday afternoon, early evening. They landed. They probably had to drive up to Athens. They probably didn't get home until late. So they missed the late local news and everything else. And so they had to get up this morning and catch up with everything. But yeah, Keidane McAlpine set to join us at 11. We'll go added time with him and wrap up the show today to get you ready for soccer at Sanford on Thursday. Reminder once again, pregame show from inside the stadium. 6 o'clock, Maddie and me. You'll hear bits from this interview. You're going to hear bits from Marion Crowder. We're also catching up with James Madison, and we'll get you ready. We'll have lineups by then, and we'll talk about the vibe and the season and the SEC and everything that's going on. But pregame show 6 until about 6:55. Glenn Davis, Jill Lloyd, Marion Crowder. We'll have the call for Marion. It'll be a homecoming, and we'll talk about that tomorrow morning at 9:30. KCD is bouncing back and forth between MLS and college. She's going to be a lead color for the ACC matches this year. She got to cut the ribbon on her ACC coverage with North Carolina and Fairfield on the weekend. so she's getting her college reps. Going to be off, probably go 8:30 to 10:15 tomorrow because I've got to unplug and plug back in and get ready for the pregame show at 10:30 with the Twos and Chicago Fire 2 from the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground at 11 o'clock. Remember, if you're going, tickets are free. Get them at Ticketmaster. But just know that you got to give yourself a little extra time because you got to get the shuttle from the park down the street, and you got to come up the street in the shuttle, and your bag that you bring into the facility has to fit the parameters for Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So it's got to be clear, and it's got to be a certain size and all that kind of stuff. So just remember those things if you're going tomorrow morning, where it's brunch with the Twos, 11 o'clock, 10:30 pregame here on the network, as Atlanta United's right there in the 7-8, and they've got to get a win. Chicago Fire 2 behind them in the standings, and they're looking to get into the playoff discussion. Atlanta United 2 trying to keep the Fire out of the playoff discussion and move up the table themselves with 6 matches to go in the regular season. So that's where we are with MLS Next Pro. Okay. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll get into all that stuff here right now. So obviously there have been your standard amount of movement going on with players and signings and all the things. Rodri is now in the barn. Cristiano Ronaldo has said that he's probably going to retire after this season. So probably going to retire. So here's what we know from everything bouncing around. Barca weighing up a move for Victor Gyökeres, according to Il Chiringuito. Take the information at your own peril. We love the show, but we know what it is. Barca have reportedly ID'd him as a potential replacement for Ferran Torres, who completed his switch to PSG. Set to check on the situation to see if Arsenal would be willing to discuss a deal 1 week before the Premier League season starts. Real Madrid interested in Martin Zubimendi. According to Team Talk, reported discussions have already taken place with his reps. Jose Mourinho keen on signing him, linked with Chelsea, arrived at the Emirates for a fee of €60 million last summer. Arsenal open to letting him go if they receive the right proposal. Played in all 38 Premier League matches last year. Sao Paulo, get this. Knicks. Sao Paulo made an approach to sign Jamie Vardy. According to Fabrizio Romano. Once again, take the information as you wish. Brasileiro's side believed to be among several teams exploring a move for the 39-year-old who decided to leave Cremonese this summer after the club suffered relegation to Serie B, expected to take time to weigh up his options before making his final decision. Chelsea, Manchester United interested in Roma midfielder Manu Kone, according to Gazzetta dello Sport, recently linked with Atletico de Madrid. €43 million offer turned down. Roma standing firm on their 50. Kone made 5 appearances for France at the World Cup. Interest in his signature continued to grow. Both Premier League sides could face competition from multiple clubs in the league we don't talk about. Inter Milan prepared a new offer for Curtis Jones at Liverpool, according to Nicola Schira, proposing an initial €30 million transfer fee plus incentives. Talks plan to take place this week. Linked with Inter throughout the summer transfer window. Did not play in either of Liverpool's 2 preseason friendlies against Como on Sunday. Savinho, Manchester City's agreed to a 6-year deal with Spurs as the deal between clubs enters the final stage. That's from Nicola Schira. Romano, again, Liverpool have agreed personal terms with PSG winger Bradley Barcola, keen to get the deal over the line. Reds have also spoken to reps of PSG winger Ibrahim Mbaye. Romano again, Getafe have opened talks to sign Liverpool midfielder Stefan Bajcetic. Calcio Mercato, Napoli remain interested in Gabriel Jesus, but they need to offload a player before making a move. Schira again, Roma close to sealing a move for Porto attacking midfielder Rodrigo Mora. 4-letter paper. Manchester United looking to part ways with defender Harry Amas. We need to ask Drew Dickinson about that. Football Insider, Forest interested in AC Milan midfielder Yusuf Fofana. TalkSport, Leeds United forward Joel Pirro on the radar of West Ham. None of the relegated clubs from the Premier League won in the opening weekend of the championship this past weekend. Just saying. The Athletic Braga have agreed to a deal worth over €10 million to sign Barca midfielder Tommy Marquez. Romano again, Strasbourg set to sign Sturm Graz and Costa Rican international defender Jalen Mitchell in a deal worth €8 million. Atalanta remain keen on Nottingham Forest winger Nicola Savona. That is from Tutto Sport. Now, checking in with all of our friends and contacts and such, and it's going to take us for blank and ever to go through everything that Ben Jacobs is going through this morning. So here is what Ben has going on this morning, and it's a lot. It's like literally you've got to sit there and go, man, that's a lot of stuff, and it is. Ipswich confirmed Julio Enciso's joined from Strasbourg, 30.5 million euro fee, including add-ons, signed a 5. Returns to Portman Road, where he spent 2025 on loan. The move was driven by Gary O'Neill, and Enciso spent 6 months there in 2025. Ipswich also confirmed Abdul Ouattara has joined from Strasbourg on a 5. 20 plus 5 million euro in the fee. Ouattara quoted, and he's holding up a scarf. So he's holding up a scarf, and Julio Enciso is just smiling into the camera. No contracts, no pen hovering over a contract, no jersey with a year on the back. So the Tractor Boys just believe in casual photographs to prove player signings. Ouattara, quote, Premier League is the best league in the world. As soon as I knew the opportunity was there to play in England under a manager I've already enjoyed working with, I jumped at it. Once again, the Gary O'Neill connection with Abdul Ouattara. Sergi Busquets has joined Barca Athletic as an assistant coach, joins Barca B while also completing his coaching badges. And with Sergi Busquets, he's just standing with arms folded, smiling into the camera, slightly off center, and no contract signing there, no pen hovering over a notebook. He's just wearing a Barca shirt, and he's probably wearing shorts, and he probably looks like he could probably take on some of those kids. But Sergi Busquets, coaching at Barca B while he's completing his coaching badges. Once again, Barcelona agreeing on the deal with Rodri, 76.5 million euro fee, including add-ons, signing a 4-year deal. Manchester City closing in on Ayoub Bouadi, not discounting a bid for Enzo Fernandez despite Friday's deadline, and that was at 120. Al Hilal showing an interest in Pedro Neto from Chelsea as of Monday morning. Chelsea have yet to receive a bid. Neto is valued at close to £100 million. We mentioned Ayoub Bouadi. Terms are in place for the Moroccan midfielder from Lille. So keep an eye on that with Manchester City. Juve have agreed to a deal to sign Guillermo Vicario on loan from Spurs with a buy option of around 10 million euro. Reported on Saturday, Vicario, the other Juve option to Emi Martinez. Zion Suzuki is going to formalize his move to Aston Villa today. They reached an agreement in principle, 30 plus 5. Villa was in advanced talks over the weekend and apparently have locked it down. They're going to formalize that move today at 30 million euro plus 5. The Emi Martinez saga, Juve have always been cautious on proceeding with Emi Martinez due to the finger issue. As reported yesterday, the deal is not proceeding as it stands, and that was when Vicario came into the discussion and is now going to get signed by Juventus. Now to Tom Bogert. Bogert's been a very, very busy man also. So Tommy Scoops saith the following. Once again, we'll go to the top of the order with him. We had mentioned what's going on. Hibbs finalizing a deal. Thank you to Dell for jumping me on this one, being the intrepid producer that he is. So deals for January. Swan finishes the year with a battery, goes to Hibbs for the second half of their season, 11 goals, 6-figure fee, and a sell-on. So Hearts, I was right. It was Hearts. So it is Hibbs and Colton Swan. It is Hearts and J.J. Williams. Next time we talk to Michael Parkhurst, we need to talk about J.J. Williams because Hearts are apparently closing in on a deal to sign J.J. Williams, Atlanta United legend J.J. Williams, by the way, from Rhode Island FC. It's been a great talent in USL Championship, 8+4 this season for Rhode Island FC. Hearts made a push for the title last year, finishing second, so they're thinking that J.J. Williams can push them over the top on this one. FC Rouen, third level of the French football pyramid, signing Wubens Passius from Nashville. Excelled in the USL Championship and the Canadian Premier, but now he's off to the French third tier because he has not had an opportunity to really get regular minutes. And so now he goes over to France and FC Rouen. Also, Messi and friends set to sign forward Lovins Delanois to a first-team contract, started 2 of the team's Leagues Cup matches, and impressed the club from there. And keep an eye, once again, Rangers and Kevin Kelsey. It was $10 million in the region of the bid. Timber's not looking to sell. Kelsey's not looking to go. 9+2 and just under 1,000 minutes coming into the weekend. Rangers are not the only club chasing after Kevin Kelsey. So that would be your foreign and your domestic so far. Let me check David Ornstein, and that will be the last one that we catch up with. In CISO, he is reinforcing this. Medical's done. It's a 5-year deal. Ornstein is also mentioning that Ouattara is also Abdul Ouattara also joining. And like I said, we showed you, there's a picture once again. Ouattara is holding up a scarf. No hovering pen over a contract or a notepad or anything or a notebook, just the scarf. So you take that, you add that to everything that we've seen in the pictures, and you look there. But so you get the new signings for Gary O'Neill at Strasbourg. So goalies changing and shifting and switching, and Benfica had lodged a €20 million offer to sign Taylor Harwood-Bellis from Southampton. Center back, 24 years old, fell below their valuation, rejected, but they're open if the price is right. Marco Silva wants an England international and a player who is keen on playing at Benfica as a possibility. So that is what we know this morning about who might be going where, doing what, and when. So that is the that's the rundown there. All right. So what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important, helps you out, helps us out, helps them out. And it is a way for you to get a boatload, and that's one word that I'll use, a boatload of games that you might not have had access to one way or the other. And you get a lot of the A and B divisions in South America. And trust me, you get a lot of them. You get TVV out of Venezuela, CDO Plus out of Chile. You get TSA out of Argentina, which means you get Copa Argentina, and the matchups that drift through from the second division and from the LPF. You end up with Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You end up with all the BNs. You also get links to Tigo Sports and to CATV with all the A and B divisions that they cover in South America. With all the BNs, I mean you get all the BNs. If you had Fanatis and you had all the BNs, you would have seen the WAFCON final yesterday where Cameroon got 3 goals in the first half, cruised to a 3-0 win over Malawi. Both teams obviously qualify for the Women's World Cup in 27. Great tournament for Malawi. We've reached out to our friend Ollie Howarth to kind of get a postmortem on this, players to look at. And, hey, if you're recruiting, we'll go to the Malawi roster to start things out. But, yeah, there's a team that is going to be starting in 2028 in the NWSL. Just saying. So we reached out to our friend Ollie Howarth, and we'll see if he can come and join us at some point this week to kind of break everything down there. But what to watch today after what was going on yesterday? There was a lot that went on yesterday. And so today, do you kind of get to catch your breath a little bit? Kind of, sort of. ESPN Deportes says La Liga Deportiva La Coruña Elche's at 3 o'clock. Fox Deportes has the Argentine First Division, the LPF at 4, Lanús and Independiente. They do have Monday Night Football with Necaxa and León at 9. TUDN has your nightcap in the Liga MX after dark. Pachuca Puebla is at 11. ESPN Plus simulcasting La Liga and also the matchup in the Segunda at 3:30, Almeria and Eldense. Fox ONE has the matchup in Argentina and the doubleheader in Liga MX. Copa Italia is the big thing today. It is 4 matchups available on Paramount Plus, and the Monday Night Football in the championship, Cardiff City and Wrexham. So nothing like a Welsh derby to welcome you to match day 1 in the EFL championship. Cardiff City and Wrexham at 3 o'clock on Paramount Plus. Argentina's LPF, that is a Monday day for football. 4 matches, and you can catch them all on VeeX. You could probably also catch them all on Fanatis. One at 1:45, one at 4, one at 6:15 with our friends Defensa y Justicia, and Xerxes Cordobas at 8:30. Women Liga MX Femenil is on Fox ONE doubleheader at 7 and 9:06. VeeX also has Liga MX Femenil at 8 with Toluca and Atlas. Sudamericana and Libertadores kick back in tomorrow. That's another reason to get what's going on with Fanatis and all the BNs, because you get Libertadores and you get Sudamericana across the board. So you get all of that stuff that is attached as well. Now, Keidane McAlpine set to join us in about 10 minutes. What we're going to try to do during the college season is we are going to try our dead level best And it will be an opportunity for us to try and let you know at a decent rate of speed what in the wide world of sports happened in the college game over the weekend on Mondays. So there were a handful of games, including one involving our next guest, that were up and running on Sunday afternoon and evening. So here is your look at, in the Monday mashup, UGA and Minnesota. It is Florida Gulf Coast, Georgia Southern, Stetson, Kennesaw State, Mercer, and West Georgia. You'll recognize Danny Waugh. You'll recognize our friend Mateen Rad. And you'll have 4 matches in the Monday mashup to whet your appetite for our guest who's coming up in about 5 minutes. Here's your college rundown, courtesy of all the conferences and ESPN Plus and the B1G and B1G Plus. Enjoy the mashup. Here we go.
It's being a 1-0 game. Really, it's still either teams at this point.
Great move down line. Opportunity to shoot on goal here. Minnesota takes the bit and gets it in. Minnesota has tied this game. And you see the entire team celebrating.
Case in point, Comer finding Brazunas. Shot deflected. Right over the Comer. Far side. Brazunas gets it in!
It's the first goal for Brazunas. What a goal it was. It's that combination we were telling you about, the Comer and Brazunas combination. She just gets a toe to it. It's her first goal at Georgia Southern. Congratulations, Brazunas.
First of her career and right on cue. That pairing of the forwards working in tandem to put Georgia Southern up 1-0.
And that exemplifies the kind of forward that she is, a fox in the box. She'll sniff out trouble. She'll be a focal point for those crosses into the box. This one didn't even have to be on her head. This one was perfectly placed for her. Started by her. Tries an initial shot from far. Comer understood the assignment brilliantly, and it just took a toe poke from Brazunas to get Georgia Southern 1-0 up against FGCU.
High cross, header, and that is in! Georgia Southern finds that second goal to take a 2-0 lead over Florida Gulf Coast.
And again, it's a goal against the run of play, a goal out of nowhere from Georgia Southern. It originated from that long throw in, which we haven't seen much from Georgia Southern, but deployed by Mistowski. And we see it. It's the shot clipped in, and the header from Meredith Plew just gets up so well against the defender, and it just creeps in past the goalkeeper, Buume.
Orozco bobbles with it, finds Orozco. Orozco towards the back post. Bradford tries the header. Still in play for the Owls. It's roofed into the net, and Kennesaw State has its first goal of the 2026 season, and it's Laura Kennedy. Orozco. Still Orozco. Still Orozco! That is perfectly placed from the Owl, returning back to action from her suspension, and she marks it with a goal to almost certainly secure the victory for the Owls. It's Stetson 0, Kennesaw State 2.
Wow, a nice move there, but wasn't able to capitalize off of it. Issa Ramirez with some nice skills showing off there, but Bachman making a run for it now. Back down the side, passes it in. Wow, a goal. A goal scored by Olivia Borey.
You hit a button and you sit there and you forgot you hit a button. That's your mashup. Georgia and Minnesota 1-1 draw. Florida Gulf Coast goes to Statesboro, loses 2-0 to Georgia Southern. That was Danny Waugh on ESPN Plus. Mateen Rad and the win for Kennesaw State over Stetson by the final of 2-0. And then Mercer and West Georgia. That one was out in Carrollton over on the West Georgia soccer fields, and that was 1-0 with that goal on the board for Mercer. That's all they needed, and that's your mashup. So we're going to try and do that every single Monday, try and come up with highlights from the previous day or weekend and let you know what's going on in the college game. So good to catch up with Georgia. But like I said, since it was coming from the B1G and it was behind a paywall, they only had the Minnesota goal available. And then it was Georgia Southern, Kennesaw State, West Georgia, and Mercer, and a win for Coach Economopoulos and the Mercer Bears in Carrollton 1-0. So 1-1, 2-0, 2-0, 1-0 Mercer over West Georgia, and that is your college mashup. Now, forgot to get you into the NWSL to let you know what was going on there on the weekend. Started off Gotham over Kansas City Current, and that one was in the swamps of Jersey. I get to look at that field, but I want to see what it looked like. A goal by the Current in the first minute in front of a crowd just under 9,700. Then Midge Purse scores in the 13th, Sam Kerr in the 41st, and Gotham gets the 2-1 win over Kansas City. Kansas City doing well on the road. Utah and Bay, this one was at America First. Jarrett was there. And in Sandy, Utah, Utah continues to just put goals in the net, one of the leading offenses in the league. They were down 1-0 in the 6th. Then you had Maria score in the 7th. Miura scored in the 22nd to make it 2-1 Utah. Tied in the 29th. And then Tanaka with the penalty in the 79th minute, crowd of just over 7,000. First time that three players from Japan scored in the same game for an NWSL franchise. So a moment of history in the NWSL. Maria, Miura, and Tanaka scoring 7-22 and 29, 3-2 win over Bay, and big win for Utah as they get to keep the beat. Seattle over Chicago 1-0. San Diego and Denver draw at 1. Then on Saturday, Racing with a very kind schedule has taken advantage of it. 4-1 win over Boston Legacy at Lynn Family. Portland over Orlando by the final of 2-1. Megan Klingenberg had her jersey retirement ceremony. Then it was on Sunday, Houston 3-2 at Cary at Wake Med over Courage. Angel City, Washington, a 1-1 draw at BMO last night. And in that one, Allie Sentner scored in the 85th minute as Trinity Rodman had scored 20 minutes earlier to take a 1-0 lead in Los Angeles. So Rodman in the 65th, Sentner in the 85th, 1-1 draw with Angel City and with Washington Spirit. So after 20 matches, Gotham 6-point clear of Spirit, 43-37. Utah is third at 36. Portland is at 34. San Diego at 33. Sixth place right now is Courage at 30. They have a better goal difference by 2 over Current. Seattle is 8th at 27 points. Angel City at 25. Denver at 24. Houston 23. Orlando at 23. Worst goal difference by 2 puts them in 12th. Racing Louisville, they are now at 20 points, and they are ahead of Boston Legacy on 1 goal in goal difference. And Bay is at 19. Chicago Stars are at 13 points in 16th place in the NWSL. And you know what we're going to do? Coming up here in just a little bit, we're going to catch up with Keidane McAlpine, find out about life on the road, life at home, if he has assigned anybody to make sure that the hedges are appropriately trimmed, that they look nice for a national audience, and looking forward to the matchup with James Madison and finding out what this whole thing has been like for him and for UGA soccer as they get ready for soccer at Sanford. And that's going to be Thursday once again. We're going to have a bit of a pregame with you. That'll be 6 o'clock. And whenever they tell us that it's time to go, it's time to go. And then we'll send you over to SEC Network with one of our OGs, Glenn Davis, Jill Lloyd, and another OG, Marion Crowder. We're catching up with Marion tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern before we jet and talk about the twos. But now, we go into added time. Well, actually, technically not added time because we're still rocking and rolling. There he is. How are you, Coach?
I am fantastically well. How are you?
Better now that we got a hold of you and that you made it back home in one piece. And
did.
And so I've got to ask before we go forward, let's go backward a little bit. It was a 1-1 draw yesterday.
Yep.
What were some of the takeaways on the flight home for you coming back from Minnesota and a 1-1 draw up there in B1G territory?
Takeaway from the weekend, we got a lot of new faces and trying to piece them together and have them play well in the first 2 games when your exhibition gets canceled is not the easiest thing to do, especially on the road. But I like our pieces. I think we had some moments where we looked the part. We looked like we're going to be able to put this thing together really well, and we will grow. There's no doubt about it. But I really like our pieces. Some of our young players and new players played really well in spurts. We just weren't consistent throughout the 90 minutes, and that's how it works in this game. If you're not, then it's going to be tough to get the result.
Well, and at the same time, you mentioned all of the younger players coming in, the underclassmen, and those that are coming in that are still trying to get adjusted to the McAlpine way. I'll go ahead and put that in quotes and
I appreciate that.
In italics. The McAlpine way. I need like reverb, to for the emphasis. But when it comes to integrating and understanding what you're looking for at 100%. Where do you think they are in the process? I know it's going to be a consistently learning process as the season goes along, but now that the season has started, where do you think their learning curve is right now as they're playing matches that count?
You know what? I would say we're probably 75% of the way there. I think we're the things that really can kill you is lining up for set pieces correctly, getting to the right spots. A lot of that stuff is actually happening. So I feel pretty confident. Okay. Some of the hardest things to do, some of the things that can really break games, we're doing pretty well. Now it's chemistry, it's rhythm. What is this player like? What is that player like? Okay, I'm in the right space. Based on the way this team is defending us, what's the read, right? Little things like that I think are happening that with time together, with time in this group, with a little bit more film, it'll start to make sense, and we'll start to not necessarily react, but actually make things happen the way we need them to play.
With the graduate students and the fifth years and the seniors, how are they helping you out there on the pitch, whether it's at practice or in game? How are the upperclassmen helping the underclassmen understand and translate what you want to have them do?
A lot of it is just getting people in the spots. It's the communication. It's the encouragement. Hey, get to the spot. Go, 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 go. Right. Like those little moments where like, hey, I need you to move, right? It's communication, and then it's the sidebar conversation at a break. It's the moments where they can whisper instead of having me yell all the time, right? They can whisper and go, hey, when this happens, I need this and this and this. When that happens, we need you to do this. They are teaching along the way. So we've got it's multi-layered, and I think every team knows that if you're not getting that, you're not really optimizing your growth. And I think we're starting to see some of those things happen, but we just need games.
And speaking of which, since you're kind of leaning right into it, next one for you, James Madison, Sanford Stadium. I've heard of this location, and it is a celebration on multiple fronts. And what has it been like for you and for the staff and for the university? I mean, obviously, Coach Smart was saying, hey, get your butt over to the stadium to watch the game and everything. What has it been like for you and the university while you're playing in the B1G and you got games that matter, still trying to sit there and get everything squared away for what is going to be a fantastic event on Thursday? What is it like having to clone yourself to have to work two sides of the street?
Luckily, I've got great staff, right? And so a lot of moving parts, but honestly, from President Moorhead down, everybody has jumped on board to try to make this one of the most unbelievable experiences, not only for the players in the game, but for people that come to the game to pay homage to an event that propelled soccer as we know it here in the States forward. And then you look into the 99ers and so on and so forth. And so it's been really, really exciting, humbling in a way to have this many people pushing so hard to make this an unbelievable night.
And you look at these are the target numbers for folks that are wandering into the door, other than the main target number that you want to be like 92,000, obviously.
I know, right?
76,481 were there August 1st of 96 when it was the gold medal match in the Olympics then. But the target numbers when it comes to college set in 1999, 14,410. The men's record set in 1980, 22,512. And you were part of setting the regular season attendance record when the folks that were in downtown Los Angeles over next to the Mausoleum They were playing the hallowed halls of Ucklaw back in 2017.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that game where 11,925 were looking at a crosstown matchup of two schools that really do not like each other when USC played UCLA?
Honestly, the funny part about it is we were fortunate enough to play that rivalry in the Coliseum at UCLA, at Dignity Health. We've played it in 3 places, so we averaged about 8,500 people for that matchup. So to be there and to be in that night, it was, every time we did it, it was unbelievable. The energy, the best part are the little kids. To hear them celebrate each and every play, the oohs, the ahs, because one of those little girls are going to be on the field in that matchup sometime in the future. It was the best part because you could hear it, every little shriel and moment. They were all into the games, and that's what it's all about, pushing this thing forward.
And what a lot of folks may not know is that the head coach of James Madison now, and we're going to catch up with him Thursday morning, Joshua Walters Sr., he was also UCLA's associate head coach then. Mm-hmm. So pairing this matchup up, it was like, I imagine you called Joshua and it's like, hey, dude, let's do something. And I'm sure that he dove in. He's like, yeah, let's go ahead and rock and roll. What were those conversations like with him with James Madison?
It was exactly that. Once we looked at the schedule, I was like, oh, this works out. Okay, James Madison. Oh, that's Josh. I don't need to worry about that guy, right? He'll be on board. And so as soon as I picked up the phone, say, Josh, this is moving. I've gotten all the people on board. Are you in? He's like, yeah, just tell me where to be, when to be, how to be, and done. And it was over just like that. And so, and he's been great on every platform and moment that he's had to press it. He's pushed it. So, we both, I think, recognize this is bigger than us. It's great for our players and our women, but it's bigger than that because here we are. We have U.S. Soccer moving into Georgia. We've got Atlanta, NWSL Atlanta being here, right? We've got another push with the Women's World Cup coming in 2027, coming off the Men's World Cup that was so successful. We've got this energy that's happening right now as the NWSL is establishing itself again. And continuing to add teams, and the valuations are going up. Like this is hopefully one of those moments where we can take the collegiate game and push it forward in a similar way to have more eyes on it, because we do have so many women that are they do the work and they deserve to get crowds at their games too.
How do you get yourself and the players to enjoy the experience, knowing that there's a win, a loss, or a draw attached to it, but understanding the gravity of the moment, understanding that, I want you to enjoy yourself because of the impact that you can make as a role model on the field before and after this entire week, and then the after effects. How do you balance all of that, but still not get caught up in the moment when you're going to have 127,000 people yelling down onto the field on a special moment on Thursday? How do you keep from getting wrapped up in it, knowing that you might have one of those moments you look up and you go, man, there's a lot of people here?
Yeah, the goal is to have them just lock in on the task at hand, play, and just by playing, you will accomplish a lot of the things that we're talking about. And then there will be a point where I stop and I tell them, hey, look up, take a deep breath.
Okay.
Don't forget what this feels like, because I think, all of them have aspirations of playing at another level and all the things, but there's a chance for some of them that may not be a moment that they will ever experience again. And I do think there's an importance of stopping, looking, appreciating, and then getting to work. I'll never forget the first time we did it at the Coliseum. As the fans rolled in, I did it with our staff, and I'm like, hey man, look, let's stop for a second. I know this game is going, and we were underdogs at that time. That was a fantastic UCLA team that we were playing that night, but and we had just gotten there. But it was one of those things. Once you stop and listen and take it in, you don't forget it. You don't forget the feeling. You don't forget the goosebumps. You don't forget the sound of it. And I want to make sure that we at least take the time to experience it, because there is something about being present and then giving your best because you understand the space that you're in.
How has the college game evolved, grown, whatever word you want to use, from that game to what we're going to experience Thursday? How has college either maintained or changed in that time frame going from one bookmark to this one?
That now that's there's so much in it. I will say, I think there seems to be more parity, right? As one thing has happened, some of our most elite players haven't come to college, and that's okay. They're going directly to the pros or spent a year and gone to the pros. And I think it closes the gap a little bit. I think you're finding the crossover of now all the conferences. More people are getting exposed to more styles and having to solve more things. So you get that as well. And I honestly, I think coaches and players are all better. More coaches are studying up, more players are studying up, more there's been more on television, so players feel like they can, so they're investing more, right? And so everything I think is better, regardless of the level, whether it be a quote unquote mid-major or Power Four. I think the quality is better, the players are better. Even though that 1%, that that 0.5% have moved on, I think it's forced everybody else to really lock in and get better.
But at the same time, when you're trying to recruit to bring somebody there to Athens, I know that you're looking for a specific kind of individual.
Yeah.
Who can represent both on the field and off, because you mentioned being a role model and being there for that next generation, because they're going to be there at Sanford on Thursday. What's it like when you have invested in a player the way that you think that, and I'm talking between the ears, not on the field product, but when you've invested and you said, okay, this player I think knows my way, knows the McAlpine way. I know that they're going to come here, they're going to do great on the field, but I want them to do well off the field. I want them to grow as that individual. What's it like for you to do that initial investment and then see the switch flip, where they are making those inroads and they're rubbing off on the next generation, not afraid to sit there and talk and do clinics and reach out to those younger players that they can make that kind of an impact on about their path in girls soccer or women's soccer?
It's amazing. It's funny because Minnesota, one of our former players, came out and watched the game, and she brought her 2 kids, and she's coaching now. And we look across the landscape. We played against another one of our former players who was on the Illinois sideline, and we look around college coaching, and we go, oh, there's one. We look around youth coaching, and there's one. And so there's a sense of pride. We didn't break them. We didn't run them off from the game, right? There's still a passion and love for the game. But there's that giving back moment, and they can share those experiences. We look in the pros and we see, whether it be abroad, whether it be in the NWSL, whether it be in the USL, we see players that are still doing it, that are still loving it. I mean, we've got players from that championship season way back still in the league, right? And that in itself, I think, is a testament to the types of people that we have. But honestly, the ones who are in the community, they have their foundations. They're doing big camps. They're going to other places. Those are the spaces and things that we're really excited about, because we're not just changing a small group. It's being paid forward, and then now you're impacting so much more than just the little space that you're in here in college. They're growing, and it's now the ripples are helping the game grow, are moving the needle. They're on the player union, and they're in the rooms speaking their minds and being heard, and that's a beautiful thing.
And if you would please, sir, for those that have not pulled the trigger yet, we want them to stuff Sanford Stadium. We don't want them to hurt the hedges. We want them to stuff the stadium.
Yep.
We want 127,000 people to be there. We want the fire marshal to be the most important person there on Thursday. How do they do it and become a part of this?
So you can go on anywhere on our social medias, whatnot. There are QR codes. There are click here buttons, click here links. You name it, you can find it. Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Sanford Stadium, James Madison, Georgia. We need to put people in the building. There will be fireworks after. There are parking instructions on the website.
Okay.
Listen, come be a part of history. Come make history. More importantly, come celebrate Georgia soccer's history, our U.S. soccer's history, our Olympic history, our connection to the two. and let's continue to build this game.
Okay. Have you already had practice this morning?
No
Okay.
practice. No practice.
Okay, so no practice today at all.
No, they had to come back and go to class. Today's
Okay.
first day of class.
Okay. So the reason I ask is because you got to make sure that those pipes, I know that you're going to be doing a lot of this between now and Thursday. You got to save those pipes because you got practice and you got to talk to folks like me for the next 3 days. So for me, it is traditional medicinals, throat coat tea. Maybe add a little lemon or maybe add a little
honey.
Lemon, a little honey.
Yep.
And then there's also stuff like Singer Saving Grace and things like that the boss swears by when she's got to do her thing and the voice is really hitting it because I'm starting to hear a little bit of that Minnesota reverb from yesterday and all of the yelling and everything.
Absolutely.
I know it's there, but I can't thank you again for doing this. It's going to be great to see you on Thursday. And we cannot wait to have 9 bazillion people there between the hedges to sit there and watch what's going on with you and UGA soccer to celebrate the entire game going up against James Madison. I can't thank you enough. So just save the pipes. And if you need a note for going to the drugstore, just let us know.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. What you do for the game, what you do for us is amazing. So I really appreciate it. Go Dogs. See you all there on Thursday. Soccer in Sanford.
What he said. Coach, good to see you. We'll catch up soon.
All right. Have a good one.
There he goes. Keidane McAlpine, head coach at UGA. He's got to save those pipes because, toward the end of the interview, he was kind of like, you could hear the kind of grinding. He was grinding a little bit. And so it was just like, we got to save those pipes. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. He mentioned that moment. And there's going to be that moment where you look up and you see all the people and the impact that you're having. So your target numbers, once again, your target numbers. Soccer attendance record for women, 14,410, set in 99. 22,512, set in 1980. That's on the men's side. Regular season women's attendance record, 11,925, USC, UCLA, November 2017. Josh Walters was UCLA's associate head coach in 2017. So like I said, we're catching up with Coach Walters, 9 o'clock hour Thursday morning. And we'll get ready for any and all of that. And we'll get the JMU side of things, and we'll get the 2017 side and what to expect, what film room has been like, all that kind of stuff. But you could hear from Coach McAlpine. He was still trying to recover from yesterday. But very, very cool. Thanks to Jake Stanley and everybody up at UGA. Like I said, pregame show, 6 o'clock. And we're going to go probably to like 6:55. So you'll hear this interview. You'll hear the interview with Coach Walters from earlier in the day. Marion Crowder coming on 9:30 tomorrow. And we'll have lineups and get you ready for everything. And Maddie's going to be calling some UGA soccer this season. So it's an opportunity for her to get her first look about what's going on. So, so far this year, those 2 draws that Coach McAlpine talked about against B1G competition, 1-1 against Minnesota, goalless draw in Champaign against Illinois. Next up, James Madison, soccer in Sanford, 7 o'clock Thursday night. We will be there. Book 'em Dano, aloha. So that is the rundown of everything. Let me check and see if I've missed anything from this morning. I think the answer is no. Just keep an eye out for Atlanta United and the intended signing of Braille Mbolo. And we'll keep an eye on that as well for Atlanta United. Yes, and Dell doing the public service announcement. Episode 1, Georgia Soccer, whatever it takes. It's on YouTube. Very, very cool. So let me see. Good morning, Dell. Let me see who's in here this morning. And we will, let's see. So morning, Dell. And let's see. Morning, David. And, yeah, I've got to go back and see the Rocco Rios Novo moment. Let's see. Morning, Michael Head. And, yeah, Baez did get a second yellow on the goal celebration. So he got a yellow on the goal celebration. Let's see. Yeah, and join the Fantasy League, by the way. Join the Fantasy League for Premier League, and I'll put it in the Discord again. And so right now it is me and Dell. It needs to be a lot more of you. So join the Fantasy League as we go this season. And like I said, I'll put that in the Discord and remind folks. We have until Saturday morning. Let's see. So there's Michael, there's Four Card, there's Abby, there's Will. Yes, Bundesliga 2. Most wonderfully chaotic league ever, especially when it comes to the playoffs. So let's see. There's David, there's Will, and I think that'll do it. I think that's it for everybody here this morning. But once again, thanks to Coach McAlpine up at UGA, and thanks to Bart, who was in Anderson, South Carolina, sitting in his car, and thanks to Abe for sitting in Colony Square, hydrating and breaking everything down there. That is Monday here on SDH AM. Once again, tomorrow, early start time because of the twos match at 11, pregame show at 10:30, which means we're off the air by like 10:15. Marion Crowder set to join us at 9:30. And we'll start probably 8:30, go over what happened in Major League Soccer on the weekend, what you might have missed, all the news from this morning, and move you forward. So like 8:30 start till about 10:15. And then the Atlanta United 2 pregame show at 10:30. And then Maddie will have the call for the twos and Chicago Fire 2. That one will be, once again, 11 o'clock here on the network. So, yes, yay. Thanks to Wiley. Dell got into the Discord. Excellent. Excellent. Good deal. All right. So join the Fantasy Premier League. And Dell will probably plaster the Discord in it as he should. So join the Fantasy Premier League competition that we'll have going on. Dell's Fantasy League. I'm in it. You should too. Y'all get to laugh at me all season long, and we'll go from there. Tomorrow morning, 8:30 is the targeted start time, and we'll rock and roll from there and get you ready for Tuesday. And the twos, it's brunch with the twos at 11 o'clock in the morning, and the week rolls on from there. So for everybody here at SDH, we've started another week covering the beautiful game, people, and we're going to continue crushing it. Thursday's going to be so much fun. We're going to talk about that, too, as we go. And since it is the end of the show, back in a little under 22 hours, it means we get to do this. And what you plot, y'all? Play it safe. We'll be back at it again, 8:30 target time. Set your notifications. 8:30 tomorrow morning. Since it's the end of the show, that means we get to do this. We'll see you later.